A goal by Gaston Sereno is all that separated Kaizer Chiefs and Richards Bay. But how did the team actually play? We'll look at the three parts of the game, how they played in the first half, and why it failed. And secondly, we'll look at what they changed going to the second half and how the shape looked like. And we'll also look at how Chiefs defended and how that actually is the reason why they won that game. Hello and welcome to the Cutback with Umpilo. Here we analyze football matches in South Africa, so do make sure to subscribe to the channel for more content like this. Let's get into the video by starting at how Chiefs were set up on the left hand side. And they were set up to overload and switch. If you look on the left here, you can see the ball is played back inward, but you see the majority of the players are on the left with Bradley crossed holding the width on the left, and then there is the other players, which is Utabo Cele supporting Umduduzi Shabalala. But now when they switch the ball to the right hand side, you also see that there's Uklodi Lilepo holding the width on that side, and then there's that huge channel that is open for Utabo Munyane to then attack. And when he gets there, he has multiple options. Can play the ball into the box, or he can play the ball out to Claude Lilepo. See this thing happening over and over again. The ball starts on the left, then it gets switched, and you can clearly see there's like 5 players who are leaning towards the left hand side of the pitch, and then Lilepo still holding his width, Cross holding his width on the left as well, because that's how they were getting there and playing. And then you will see Monyane arriving late to then try and make things happen from that side. And you'll also see that around the box, this is something that Chiefs fans have been complaining about. Not enough people are going to the box, but they already addressed the issue, because once they're close to the box, now you see there's Cross, there's Mtusha Balala, there is Ndlovu running into the box as well, and not to mention there's also Utuba, the striker. So this was not particularly bad, because they kept on doing it, playing the ball from the left hand side and then switching it, and then Monyane joins in later on. And when that happens, as you saw in that last clip, Lilepo is the one who takes a shot, but the late run by Umonyane makes the defenders question, should we stay with Lilepo or should we also track Umonyane, who might get the ball as he's making a forward run. So we continue looking at this again. Kaizer Chiefs overloading the left-hand side, and then the ball is switched to the other side and easily enter the box, and they can now combine closer to the box and try to score. And this kept on being the main thing. Mtusha Balala just drifting in front of the defense, and Bradley Cross staying wide. Now, this is important because Mtusha Balala was played as a winger, but we know he's a 10. So they played him as a winger, but he did not stay wide at all. It was Bradley Cross was always wide, and Mtusha Balala was the one inverting, which presents a few tactical issues, because the first one, the main one, is the fact that if Cross is the one who's always wide and Umtu is always the one who's inverting, then that's predictable. There are no rotations that much, but they will fix that in the second half. They were going to fix it. So Umtu Shabalala is there, so he's always known where he is. And then on the right hand side, it's still the same thing. You have Monyane swapping around with Ulilepo. So most of the times it would be Lilepo wide and then Monyane coming in to run in the half spaces, as I showed. But sometimes it would look like this, whereby Ulilepo is actually the one who's closer to the box, and then Umonyane is the one who's backwards. And also, just something to note that Umonyane is always at the back going forward. It doesn't start the shape with the shape up front, but it starts joining it later on, which is something that is very important to note. Now, as the game continued, we're getting chances in places like this, but the issue was the slow block. Look at how many Richards Bay players are inside that box. There is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then the other 2 are just outside the box. There is 9 of them. 9 of them in and around their box, and only 1 was closer to the halfway line, because they were set up to also transition against Chiefs, which is the one that then presented a problem that Kaizer Chiefs were then looking to solve in the second half, because although they were combining nicely in these positions, but if you just look at the sheer number of Richards Bay players and how many they're actually living outside. And Umthetho was there to try and stop that. It was just very difficult for Chiefs to do or get anything decent because they were able to put pressure on Chiefs in whichever side Chiefs were playing on, even if they were trying to switch the ball very fast. Which is why in the second half they brought on Kosing Ngcobo and Gaston Sereno. And you will see immediately the change that you see here. There is that 5, in fact 6 up front. They were playing 6 players now up front. And Umonyan, as you can see now, was starting further up the field. He wasn't deeper anymore in when the attack was starting. He was starting up front. And the main reason why this was the case is because obviously the low block did not go well for Chiefs. Now look at this. You see on the left hand side who is wide. It's not Bradley Cross, but it's Gaston Sereno. Bradley Cross is now in the half space, and then Dusha Balala is even closer to the D-line. Now, you see it again and again, this thing happening. Either Cross is behind, and Dusha Balala is still closer to the box. And you just keep on seeing the same thing again. That triangle is there. And sometimes it becomes a diamond because Utabo Kele would then join those 3. Now, what we've done here, basically, the technical team of Kaizer Chiefs, is they've seen an issue whereby it's just Cross on the left, and then it's Mtusha Balala in the half space. That's kind of manageable. But what if they thought to themselves, what if they added another element, which is Gaston Sereno, to start wide? Now you are adding an extra player. You're already overloading that side, but now you're overloading it even more. So the plan didn't change. They just upgraded the plan by adding Gaston Sereno and doing what we call quality overload. Well, it's a numerical advantage. It's a numerical overload, but it's also quality overload because you've added a good player. So you're overloading a side with quality, but you're also overloading the side with numbers. And also, as I said, Thabo Cele joining in is not really a bad idea at times. And you can see this is happening. And while all of this is happening on the left-hand side, you have Utabiso Monyane once again making those runs there. And now you can see Claude Lilepo is fully inverted and playing closer to goal. And the triangle again, the Tabiso Munyane. And then when the ball is switched to him, he can now try and go and combine. As Ulilepo was there combining with Abong Ngobo and trying to make things happen closer to the box. But now the one issue is whenever the ball got there to Munyane being wide, when he tries to cross the ball, it just wasn't happening. And it made me wonder, is this why they are making him play in the half space and not have him run down the line and be wide? Because he's not that great at making those crosses. So they want him rather in the half spaces, because then in the half spaces, well, De Bruyne does cross in those areas, but it's also a place where you can combine easily and try to play with people. So maybe that's something that they're going to look at. And that is something that I think last week I said about Chiefs, that Riff Rosler might look at the delivery of Munyane and think that's the edge that he has over that player, because he can deliver balls into the box. And if Chiefs wants to deliver more crosses, they might want to go the Riff Rosler route, as they did against Polokwane City. Now, if you continue, you see that the other advantage that Chiefs now had is at any given moment, they could have 3 people who are closer to the box, pressing against the defense of Richards Bay. But they also had ball players like Abonko Pile Ngcobo outside the box. And now with that combination persisting on the left-hand side, that triangle, they also would have Duba and Lilepo in the box. And now if they were looking to cross the ball into the box, there were 2 people who were waiting for the ball. And now Lilepo also is an advantage, was now able to run into these spaces and get his shots off. Once again, Chiefs have numbers in the box. That triangle is still there. They try to cross the ball into the box. 3 players there, which is a huge improvement from the previous games. And another thing that you see with Mtusha Balala now not being played closer to a winger, being out right now as a 10, he's now capable or able to do what he loves to do. Drift with the ball, well, not drift, play the ball here and dribble people, and combine with Utuba, who they seem to have a very good understanding with, and they can even combine in the box. Yes, that was not a penalty. The ball's direction, if you check it, it goes in the direction that the defender was kicking. So he started with the ball, even though he might have gotten him, but that's not a penalty because it was ball first. And you see once again that there is a second issue here because with Monyane starting further up the field, once Ngobo loses the ball, now our defense is exposed because there is two players at the back now. And this 2v2, if this player is smarter, he goes straight and he attacks. But he does not do that, and Chiefs end up recovering and winning the ball back. Now, Duba was then taken off for Modi to come on. And immediately when you saw something shifting. Sereno was now playing on the right, and then Lilepo was now playing centrally. And another thing that you need to see is that Cross stayed back even more because this was later on in the game because the goal had been scored. We'll talk about the goal very soon because it did not come from the in position form, but it came out of a transition. So we'll look at that later on. So you see that Cross is staying back, and this helped because in moments like this, when Chiefs lost the ball and then Richards Bay were transitioning, there are three defenders who are ready at the back. And one thing that happened is that when Sereno now moved wide to the right hand side, because that's what he was doing, even on the left, it then allowed Monyane to go back to plan A and attack the half spaces. Then Kaizer Chiefs then brought on Umfundo Vilagazi, who then, just like Gaston Sereno, continued playing on the right hand side, and Sereno was now drifted back to be inside because Umtu Shabalala was now taken off. Now, Villagaz was playing the ball. But now this issue that we touched on resurfaces again because Monyane was struggling to cross the ball. Now let's go to the defense. Before you do that, do make sure to subscribe to the channel and share it with your friends, so that this channel can grow. I have a dream, I have a dream of getting to 20,000 subscribers before the end of September. So that's the target. I know we can do it. Now, let's continue now and look at how Chiefs were defending. Look at how deep the wingers were. Like Gaston Sereno comes on and he's playing on the wing because Mtusha Balala was made a 10. But that's Gaston Sereno inside Kaizer Chiefs' box, and he's there intercepting the ball. And it doesn't end there because Kaizer Chiefs are defending. You see him, he's right there inside the box of Kaizer Chiefs defending, because when Chiefs were defending, they are taking this defensive shape of a 5-3-2, whereby one of the wingers will drop and basically become like a wing back. And in doing that, it fights against teams that will try and use the width. So now you can't exploit the width. You can't play crosses in because there will be a winger plus one of the defenders. So in this case, Sereno's on the right and is playing with Monyane. So that means they can double up on the winger. If it's happening on the right, that means Cross can go to the left and then followed by Inacio Miquel. That means there's still three defenders in the midfield, in the central area and the center back position. So you cannot exploit them anymore because they have learned to be smart about this. And then you also see Sereno being here intercepting the ball, and you can see this shape that they are taking. Looks like a 4-4-2 at times, but they are just there. But what this thing also did for them is that about Duba, if they saw that there was a disadvantage at the back, they were happy to drop back and try to mark. And another thing to note about Chiefs is that that's Modi, by the way. That's Mtusha Balala at the back. That's Mtusha Balala at the back, winning the ball there, and then Chiefs are starting an attack. So this just shows you that there's been a thing that has been drilled in, that whether you are a winger or what, when we're marking, we're all at the back, as we see with Mtusha Balala. But this 5-3-2 shape also allows Kaizer Chiefs, as you can see here clearly, to be compact at the back, but to also leave the quickest players or the ones who can score goals up front. Like here, now Kaizer Chiefs are transitioning and they're going forward. Again, the shape is there, and look at the players who are up front. Duba and Dusha Balala. Very quick, electric in transition, and the others, Abo Lilepo in this case, has dropped deep to become part of the back five as Kaizer Chiefs have been defending. Once again, you can see the shape. Now for the goal, you see that Chiefs were set up to transition very quickly as well in case where they lost the ball. Like here, they just won the ball back, and look at how quick the transition is. And then the next thing you find them on the other end of the box trying to score. Now look at how Kaizer Chiefs scored their goal. There is one Richards Bay player, and there is literally five Kaizer Chiefs players around him. And on top of that, Quinica decides now five is not enough. He steps up to make sure that that other one does not get the ball freely. They intercept the ball, and now they are off and they go and they score the goal. It's a beautiful goal. Chiefs end up winning the game. But this does not mean Chiefs play in transition. You saw that when they're attacking in their offensive shape, they're very good. They are creating chances. They're just not taking them yet. Defensively, their structure is very good. And as a result, that means they're able to transition better because while they're defending, they're also set up in a way that they can hit you on an attack. So the other nice thing that Kaizer Chiefs are doing so far is that they are learning as the matches go. They can change the system at halftime or improve it and still go with the same plan, and you will see very good results. But I'm interested to hear what you guys thought about the game. Do let me know down in the comment section below. Have you subscribed? Have you liked? Let's get this video to 1,000 likes. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, keep watching football because football is life.